Hello fellow guitarists and welcome to the full maintenance guide on the guitar. While I'm doing the next part of Ultimate Guitar Buying Guide, this thing will just keep the upload schedule just a bit more busy. So let's start with how often you should make the guitar maintenance and when. My biggest recommendation is to do it while you are changing your strings. Genuinely perfect time. So we are here having my main guitar. It's the old made in Japan Ibanez RG7621 from 1999. And this guitar has a very dry fretboard. I haven't changed a string on it for like half a year, and it's a time to do so. So let's start by removing the strings. We start removing the string by releasing the tension on them. Simply twist it counterclockwise and the string will simply lose the tension and you can pull it out from the tuner. Some people cut the strings. I don't do this, but it's a matter of taste. Do you like it or not? So you can cut the strings and pull the other half from the tuner and then pull the other side from the back of the guitar. Matter of taste, do how you like it. Also, I recommend using this string winder that I have in the video. It makes the job just a bit easier. Also, when you change the string, align the holes on the tuner so you can pull the string straight through them while you're pulling the new one on the guitar. It will once again save you just a tiniest bit of time and will work great for a little trick that I will show you later. The biggest downside of not cutting the strings will be the fact that you will have like a twisted string ends that you will need to pull from the bridge by force. And if you have some kind of a construction where strings go very close to the finish of the guitar, you can damage the finish. So for this case, it's better to cut the string in half. The downside of the method with cutting the string is that it will be harder to spin them together like I do, to simply dispose of them easier. But just pick the thing you like most and stick with this approach. And now let's begin with the first part of the maintenance. Especially if you have a gloss finish on your guitar, you need to grab a piece of cloth and the guitar polish. I use a Dunlop one, but you can find a lot of different options. Also, you can use a polish that is not dedicated for a guitar, but simply for like a wooden table. It will also work. So spray it either on the guitar or on the cloth and then wipe the guitar with a polish. It's a must-have on a gloss guitar. On the matte ones, it also helps to remove a bit of the dirt, but it will make them gloss out just a bit quicker. But once again, nothing crucial here. It's not necessary to polish the matte guitar, so you can skip this part if you want to. I also use polish on the neck because the neck is completely glossed out after quarter of the century of active playing. So when you polished all of the parts of the guitar, so the front, the back, and the sides, you can also polish the neck even on a matte guitar. It kind of makes the neck just feel a bit more glossier, but far more cleaner. But you can simply wipe it with a cloth. It's not necessary on a matted out neck. I personally have nothing against glossed out necks, and every matte neck will become gloss after the certain time, so it's not a necessary thing. So approach it how you personally think will be better for you and your instrument. Then you can apply the polish to the headstock. It's necessary once again if you have a gloss guitar. If you have a matte one, it's once again just a suggestion, but still you will need to wipe out all the dust and dirt on it. Now it's time to clean and condition the fretboard. I tried a few methods that were both conventional and unconventional and find out the perfect one. I'm using Elixir strings, so I cannot do a guitar maintenance very often. So what am I doing is that I'm using a few rounds of cleaning and conditioning. So I start with Dunlop cleaning tools. I use the set of deep cleaner and deep conditioner. So I start with the deep cleaner. I spray it on the guitar and then wipe every fret with care. So I try to remove as much dirt as possible. This is some kind of a spirit-based cleaner, so, or at least it feels like one, so it has a tendency to make the wood even drier than it was before cleaning. So this is where deep conditioning comes into play. Once again, it's very important to clear every single fret, so be very careful with it and wipe the spots that are close to both sides of the fret. It's the place where the most of the dirt resides. Now it's time to grab a deep conditioner. It has an installed like a piece of cloth inside of it, so you simply go and once again moisturize every fret. This is once again good thing when you are using elixir string. Change strings very rare. And very important thing is that you don't condition the finished fretboards. So you don't use this on pieces of maple most of the time because you have a finish over them and it basically does nothing. If you applied it, well, simply just wipe it away. It won't even stick, it won't condition the fretboard. The unfinished fretboards are, by the way, finished, but instead of like a coating inside some kind of a lacquer, be it matte or gloss, it has some kind of a wax finish or oil finish. Very rarely, you won't find this on a production model. If you have some custom thing, you can have this very strange oil covering. Also, you can find those oil coverings on, for example, Kiesel necks, and some Jacksons also have it. So you use deep conditioner. Also, there is another option of lemon oil. If you don't use elixirs and change strings once every month, as you often should, you should use simply the second part of lemon oil, where you simply clean and condition the fretboard at the same time. But I'm using this method because it's the one that keeps fretboard conditioned and for longer periods of time. So you need to wipe every fret with deep conditioner, and it's a very important part to, once again, put it inside every fret. You will struggle after like 12th or 14th fret because at this moment this cloth inside simply don't fit inside the fret, and most of the time I recommend you simply spread this conditioner with a cloth. Then you simply leave the guitar be and return to it after like 15 minutes and look at the fretboard. If all of conditioner is already sucked in, you facing a very dry fretboard, and if you leave it like it is, after a month it will once again be very dry. So after this, I do a run of lemon oil. I simply spray it on a fretboard and spread it out by a cloth, and then once again wait for 15 minutes, and then I remove all of the excess if it's present, and then install new strings. If once again all of the oil is sucked in, do a third run. Yes, it basically goes like this. So you spread it, you wait, and afterwards it conditioned. I did same procedure on my BTB bass that I restored, and you can find the video of it. And very important part of it was that this fretboard was never conditioned before. So like the bass spent 20 years inside the shop, and of course there was no maintenance of it. So I used like 3 or 4 runs, and afterwards it was perfectly conditioned. And if you look at the fretboard now, it doesn't look dry, it doesn't look bad, it looks and feels perfect. So once again, I find this as the perfect approach. Also, I don't really liked the idea that one luthier recommended me to use linen oil as some kind of a moisturizer and protector. Once again, the linen oil doesn't stick to already waxed fretboard, so don't do this. And second, it doesn't really give you a prolonged effect of conditioning, because the fretboard on this exact guitar was conditioned by the linen oil, and to be honest, I didn't find the effect of linen oil to be in any shape or form superior or better than the lemon one. Also, lemon one smells just times better than the linen one. Also, your guitar will smell nice. It's also a bonus. Also, I had an opinion that lemon oil can destroy other oil protection coverings, like a linen oil, for example, and I didn't find any proofs of it. I tried it. One of my guitars, the Frankenstrat Lab Red guitar, had one of its horns covered in linen oil for extra protection, so I sprayed the lemon oil straight from the bottle onto it, and it had absolutely no effect on the finish. So if you ever spray lemon oil on some other oil covered part of your guitar, don't be afraid, there will be no problem with it whatsoever. Simply wipe it away with a cloth. No bad thing will happen. Be safe and sure about it. Then I'm doing some geeky stuff while the fretboard absorbs all of the conditioner. I grab a tiniest brush and scoop out all the dust from the parts of the bridge, underneath the pickups and everything like this. You can disassemble the whole guitar and clean it everywhere, or you can do this with a brush. I prefer a brush, simply just not to mess with the pickup height once again, and not to reinstall the bridge because the body here is made out of basswood and basswood is prone to chipping, so I simply don't mess with the guitar body more than I need to. And also using a brush is easier and consumes less time. After the round, after which fretboard stopped sucking up the oil, it means it's perfectly conditioned, so remove all the excess and you are ready to install the strings. And now we are done with waiting for fretboard to soak up all the oil, and we can install new strings. So grab a pack. So let's start with how to restring a hardtail bridge guitar like mine. You simply pull the string from the back of the guitar and pull it out from the front through the bridge, thread it to the tuner, and you're good to go. If you have a tunematic bridge, you do pretty much the same thing, but you thread it through the stop bar or once again through the body, or you need to do a wraparound if you have those type of bridge. So you stick it through the front side of the bridge and pull it from the back side and then thread it through the tuner. Then if you have a trem, it may be a 6-point vintage trem or 2-point vintage style trem, you have the same option. You simply thread it through the tone block. And if you have a Floyd rose, you need to cut out the ball end and throw it away, and then clamp down the remaining part of the string in this piece of the bridge, squeeze it down, and then once again thread it through the tuner and tune up to the pitch. Here is where my favorite part comes in. If you have a lock-in tuner, you simply pull the string as hard as you can and then lock it with the tuner. I recommend doing one at a time because it makes string changes a bit easier. You pull one string, you finish with it, and then you grab another one. So basically they don't interfere with one another. If you pull all 6 strings or 7 or 8, depends on what guitar do you have, you will have this mess of the string that you will need to thread through the knot. They won't stay in place while you don't put them through the tuner, so just don't do this. If you have a lock-in tuner, simply pull the string as hard as you can, lock it with a thumb screw. It will never slide out of the tuner, so all you need to do is make around 1 wound to tune it up to the pitch. And here I'm doing one of my favorite tricks. I am locking the string inside a non-locking tuner. So how do I do this? I once again align the string hole, pull the string through, apply as much tension as I can by pulling on the string, and then apply the tension on the tuner through the string winder, simply to lock it in place. And if you've done this correctly and you have a good tuner, the friction inside the tuner between the string and the post will be enough to simply make the string stay in place, and the guitar will behave like it has a lock-in tuner. It saves you just a bit of time, but if you try to do this on some kind of a cheaper tuner, it may have a chance of sliding off of it. So be careful with this. On this guitar I have non-locking Gotos, and it works extremely great on this guitar. And also I did some extreme bends. I pull the string as hard as I can and it always stays in place and don't drift out of pitch. So it works on this guitar miraculously great. And when you installed all the strings, just tune it up and guitar is ready to go. And thanks you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Ultimate Guitar Buying Guide Part 2 comes in very near future, so stay tuned for this one. Also, check out my first video about pickups. Check out my restoration video about bass. I hope you have a great one. Play good guitars, and bye.